Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear friends. Again, today I'm making second video. So today is again 18th of December, and I'm going to interviewing my dear brother Charucandra Prabhu, a senior devotee from USA, and a very dear friend to me and my husband. And thank you that you will be interviewed by me. Okay, you can introduce yourself with some words. And then the question, of course, is how did I come to Krishna consciousness?
Thank you, Chandrika.
So, who are you?
So I'm Charucandra Das, as you introduced. You were correct, and we're both wearing green today.
Because we like green.
Yes, very good.
And also it's Wednesday.
Is Wednesday Green Day?
Yes.
Oh.
It's according to Jyotish.
Every day is Wednesday for me. You can cut all that out, Chandra. So I came to Krishna Consciousness. It was actually a long process, but I'll try to make it a short story. We have time. So when I was 13 years old, it's a long story, yeah.
13?
When I didn't meet the devotees when I was 13, but when I was 13, something happened in my life when I realized that this world didn't have anything tangible to offer. And so I started searching for something that was actually real. I knew it wasn't in any of the things that people were doing on a normal basis. And so initially I thought that religion was the answer. And I observed in the church that I was going to that although the philosophy that they were speaking, live your life centered around God and serve Him, love Him with all your heart, etc. Even though the philosophy was there, no one was actually dedicating their life to God. They were doing whatever they wanted to do, and then on Sundays they would come and talk about God for a short amount of time.
And then after Sunday they can do all the
nonsense.
Even
on Sunday they would do the nonsense just after church.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes during church, but a little later. Like so they'd attend part of it and then go to somewhere else to do something else. Anyway.
I know, I've been in this situation yesterday. I grew up in a Christian family.
I see. Not that all Christians are bad, but what the church that I went to, I couldn't find anyone that was actually taking it very seriously. In other words, they were saying things that meant a lot to me, but they weren't showing through their daily activities. They believed it enough to do it. So, being a 13-year-old on a search, I thought, okay, well, not this church, but so maybe another one. So I'd go over to a friend's house for the weekend, stay overnight, go to their church. Same thing. And then I had a Jewish friend, so went over to his house on a Friday night, slept there because they have temple on Saturdays. Went to the temple. Also really nice, the philosophy was great. Some of the people took it a bit more seriously as far as they modified their diets on certain days and things like that. So it was impressive, but it still wasn't. I still couldn't find anyone that took it completely seriously, but it was just their life. And then I didn't have other friends that were from other religious denominations, so I just started reading books. And when you're a 13-year-old kid, books means whatever your social studies book says. So they just have these little short things about different religions. So I read about Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, things like that. And I liked what I was reading, just the short little paragraphs in the social studies book. So then I went to the school library and found out more about each of them. And again, I liked all of the things that were mentioned. They all had a lot in common. But I really needed to find someone that took it seriously. So, being a teenager, I just got frustrated. I couldn't travel very far to find, someone that took it seriously. So I just assumed that, my search had exhausted. I've done my part. That's it. So after I finished trying to find transcendence through religion, I started seeking transcendence through extreme sports. So I used to be.
It's kind of strange.
It is. So I was a skateboarder. So it's a good question. Because when you do extreme sports, you get this feeling of adrenaline. And you can't get that feeling on a normal basis. Like, just walking or sitting or watching something. It comes when you step so far out of your comfort zone, just this burst of adrenaline comes up. And so I figured that feeling, since you can't get it doing normal activities, might be transcendence. Right? Because it's something that you can't get on a normal basis. So I thought, okay, maybe this is trans. I was 13 or 14 at that point.
Makes sense for 13-year-old.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So the thing about adrenaline, though, is, so I was a skateboarder. So for me, doing more and more extreme tricks off of higher platforms, you don't get that feeling anymore. After you do it a bunch of times, it's just, now that's standard. So you have to do something more dangerous to get the same feeling. And so I chased that for a while, thinking that at some point I'm going to be able to just harness that. But I realized, no, this is also a material thing. It's temporary. And it's not exactly
what actually realized.
I'm looking for. So then I got a bit frustrated with that, and I guess I was about 16 by that time, and then I gave up. 15. I was 15 and I gave up, and I said, the world is just awful and there's nothing real, and it's not worth trying to find happiness. And so I was very bitter for a couple of years. I was very angry at the world for being so fake, right? Nothing was real. People were dishonest all the time. You could see how people would act one way with someone and then another way with someone else. And I saw the whole world like that, but there wasn't anything that was substantial. It was all just illusion, fake. And so when I was in my senior year, so I was still 16, it was the beginning of the year. I might have just turned 17. And one of my classmates who sat in front of me in English class, his name's Bob Cohen, but he's not Brahmatirtha from Perfect Questions for Every Answer. Not that Bob Cohen.
Okay.
Different one, my age. I'm not that old. Not that Brahmatirtha was old, just slightly older than me. So anyway, he was wearing a shirt, and on the back of it, it said "Quest for Certainty." And I said, hey, I'm also on a quest for certainty. Tell me about yours. And he was like, oh, it's a hardcore band. And I was like, oh, never mind. I don't want to hear anything about it. Because back then, I kind of like hip hop music.
Okay.
And to me, hardcore music, it just sounded like people yelling for no good reason.
Like me now.
And I couldn't make out what they were saying.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, what are they even yelling about? Like, if they're so upset about something, why don't they do something about it? Like, why are they yelling at me? So when I found out it was, the T-shirt was from some hardcore band, I just said, never mind. I don't need to hear about your quest for certainty.
Oh.
And he said, no, but actually these guys are really cool. They study Eastern philosophy, and you can hear about the philosophy that they're talking about in Philadelphia at Govinda's. There's a restaurant in Center City. on Wednesday nights. So I said, okay, I can do that. Philly's no problem within driving distance. So after school on a Wednesday, we went down to Philadelphia, Govinda's, and it's where I met my guru for the first time. So he was giving class on Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta Prasanama, and back then they actually would print out the verse and purport so you could read along. So you could actually call and respond, chant the verse. Like in the temple, we had the whiteboard where you'd write the verse. But at Govinda's, they didn't have that. So they would actually just print it out and they'd hand it to everyone. So we had the verse and, we're chanting it. And by the time everyone was finished, like everyone was enthusiastic to chant the verse, I actually had it memorized by then, the whole verse, because we repeated it so many times. And then I heard my guru speak on the verse, and it was made clear that that in this philosophy, Krishna Consciousness, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, that this is actually a science, and if we do it properly, means if we actually give our life to it, make our life revolve around this philosophy, then it works. But if we don't, if we only put part of ourselves into it, then it'll only work a little bit. And I was impressed by that because everyone else was trying to tell me that, oh, no, you can actually get the highest goal, but you don't have to do so much. You can just keep, being a nonsense. And, so I was impressed by that. I was impressed by the fact that he was honest enough to say that, you can't reach perfection unless you're actually following properly. And I was also impressed by the amount of people that were taking it seriously. So that's how I came to Krishna Consciousness. I was immediately impressed by it. And once I turned 18, I moved into the temple.
Wow.
I had to wait a bit because, almost a year I had to wait.
But you were in school that time?
I graduated high school when I was 17, and then I started college art school. And so I went there for a semester and a half until I turned 18, and then I dropped out and moved into the temple.
Oh, nice. So I guess we'll finish our interview here.